Welcome back, Benchwarmers. Today we are finally getting back to talking about the NFL.
No games are here yet. No, we aren't going over rosters. No, we aren't even predicting the divisions. We're here to discuss an under the radar story about owners coming together to try and limit QB contracts.
Yes, you heard it right. Quarterback contracts are starting to get out of hand, and the owners might take action to do something about the insane dollars being thrown at the top signal callers. I'm Corey, want to be third string quarterback?
And I'm Brendan, cap crunching analyst, and this is RV from the bench. Before we get started, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes.
Also, if you could please do us the favor, if you like what you see here, please don't forget to smash that like button.
Smash it for us. Come on. It's free. Free for you, free for us. Helps out the channel a lot more than you probably think.
Heck yeah.
All right, man. NFL football, kinda.
So close. So close.
Right, I know we're getting there. I don't know exactly how many days, but it's the end of July. So I know that we're getting close. I know that camps are kind of reporting soon. Is that right?
Yeah, teams are starting to show up this week and get there.
Well, except CD Lamb, he's not
Well,
showing up.
yeah,
But
there's a couple guys that are trying to get contract things figured out, but for the most part, everybody is showing up this week at some point and getting ready for camp. And next thing you know, we'll do predictions for the upcoming season. Hopefully, we do better
right.
than last year.
Speaking of this episode, though, and quarterbacks, I know Jordan Love is one of those quarterbacks. After one random year of playing, decides that he needs to be one of the top quarterbacks paid in this league. But that's kind of what we're here to talk about. Quick shout out to Rich for bringing this story up to us. Something that I hadn't really heard of, but the more I read into it, it's extremely interesting. So let's kind of break it down a little bit, Corey. Let me start off by kind of giving like a little bit of a general idea of what's going on here, and then we can kind of break it down. We got a couple questions to kind of cover here. Let's go from there. So,
Let's do
in
it.
short, there's basically some rumors that are kind of floating around that NFL owners are meeting and discussing the likes of a salary percentage cap for quarterbacks amidst like the insane rising salaries for the top tier quarterbacks of the league. Currently, the two top paid quarterbacks are Joe Burrow by average annual salary are Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, making about $55 million each, which is about 25% of the salary cap as a whole. Yes, one of 53 people is taking up 1/4 of the entire salary. It's crazy, but without a quarterback, you don't win, right?
Facts. I mean, yeah, that's the problem is you have to have a quarterback in order to win. But and you get stuck in these spots. I feel like Trevor Lawrence and the Jags is one of those. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence is good, but like I don't know if he's that good. But we can't afford to let him go. We have to pay him. We have no choice. They're kind of stuck. And of course they're going to ask for the max they can possibly get, the most guaranteed. So it's like $200 and crazy million.
Yep.
Like, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. So I don't know. You're kind of stuck in a corner at that point.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, right? Like owners, unless you get really lucky, you're struggling to build now. Not owners, obviously. I know owners are the ones who make some of the big decisions, but the GMs and the like are struggling to put together viable teams unless your quarterback can take a discount like Tom Brady did or Patrick has done a little bit. You're going to lose some top talent, and it's harder to build a contending team for it. So. The problem, though, for the owners is that the next CBA doesn't really expire until 2030. Well, it's 2024, so they got a little bit. And you know how many quarterbacks are going to be up for a renewed contract in the next 6 years? Probably most. You know what I mean?
So many, and it's only going to get where. I mean, we just went through this whole new draft class. We had 4 quarterbacks in the first round or 5 taken. Like, we're
Yeah.
going to go through the same process in the next 3 to 4 years, where these guys are in their last year or their last years. And this, I mean, I get it from a player's standpoint. You want security, you want more long term deals, but also like if you sign a 4 year deal, why doesn't everybody just go through the 4 years and then do a contract when it's time? I don't know why everyone like you're forced into giving them another deal if they have a year left. Like if they have a year left, then let's play out the deal.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of, again, we're not in professional sports
Yeah.
because I couldn't agree more. You sign something, you should, kind of follow through with it. But if for some reason they were to be hurt in that final season, they have no, financial longevity going forward. That's the only thing. But again, that's really only from a player perspective. So
Yeah.
there's a reason why the teams keep pushing it or franchise tag, etc.
Oh, franchise tag. That's a whole other thing.
Right. But there is ways that you can make an amendment to a CBA, so it's still feasible before necessarily having to go through an entirely new CBA. So amendments can be made. However, if you're going to amend it for something that helps you, there's going to be some give going back the other way. I mean, these teams are, because the NFLPA has to obviously agree to it. The players aren't going to just be like, "Oh, you want to give quarterbacks?" Like, yeah, no worries. We don't need actually anything else in the meantime. Just feel free to go ahead and change it. No, there's going to be a lot of pushback. So there's a lot of talks about them wanting a bunch of stuff. What that could be is a little bit up in the air, but they might want a bunch of stuff in return.
Well, I mean, yeah, if they're going to ask for something, you got to ask for something. But also think, if you're the players, you got to be aware. If you ask for something or too much, the first thing they're going to bring back on top of this is 18 game schedule. Like, for sure, that's going to be the first thing that the NFL is like, okay, well, we'll give you this, this, and that, but we're also going to add another game. And then it's, a whole nother thing. So that's the game of negotiations, but we'll see where things go. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's a mess.
You know, a little off topic from this, but still on topic, because we were talking about it the other day when Laffy was reading off last year's revenue for each of the leagues. It's crazy that must be being pushed by the television people who are giving them money, but it's crazy that the NFL even needs more games, because most of their revenue, what was it, 65% of NFL revenue comes from the TV contracts and not from ticket sales. Now, I'm not saying they don't make any money from ticket sales. Of course they do. That's the point. But what I'm saying is it's weird that they keep pushing for it, because that's not necessarily what drives revenue in their sport. It's television, unless, of course, it's the studios and the broadcasters that are looking to push them. Say, hey, we'll give you this money, but we want to broadcast 18 games now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a little bit of both, but I know that's going to be the first thing, because there's already been floating out ideas of them going to 18, and then of course that stretches the Super Bowl into, I think, President's Day weekend, so then you get the Monday after the Super Bowl off, and it all makes sense. Like,
yeah, that's what they tell us. Sure.
Yeah, well, that's the idea floating out there. I wouldn't be shocked if it comes up in part of the battle of getting this amendment, if they decide to do that in the offseason. Or I'm assuming you have to wait until during the offseason to do this. You can't do it in the middle of the year, I would guess. Right?
Yeah, no, yeah, offseason. It doesn't have to be in the middle. It can be in the middle of a CBA agreement, but yeah, it'll be offseason. So it would be after this season for sure, because this league league year, whatever I'm talking about, has already started. Yeah,
okay. Makes sense.
So that's the general basis. They want to kind of get a general idea to where it's not money that's going up. It's okay, this is the most that you could make as a quarterback as a percentage of whatever the cap is. Now, obviously, money can go up if the cap goes up, right? So, but that's basically kind of the bottom line here. So the question now is, can they do this? Like, what is there anything that's paved the way for them to do this before? And we read an article that was actually by Joel Corey from CBS Sports. Hey, right? Corry. Sorry, bro. That was able to kind of break down some of this for us. And this has actually been done before. In the 2010s. Corey, you read a little bit of the article, obviously, as well. You want to break down how it kind of happened previously?
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of had a feeling it was going to come back to Sam Bradford, because it seems like it does with some of these like weird facts and stats. But I do remember Bradford this is 2010, early 2010s. He gets this big, huge, because at that time rookies got drafted and there was no slots. There was just like, you negotiate and get whatever you can. And guys would not play a game yet and get, like Sam Bradford did, 6 years, 86 million, 50 guaranteed. Guy hasn't even played one down yet. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's way too much money. Yeah. So essentially what they went in and did is kind of like the NBA. They went in and slotted all the first round draft picks of, like, you can only make this amount, this amount. So the next year after they put that into effect, this is the different money that Cam Newton was able to get as the number one pick. 4 years, 22 guaranteed. All that. That's it. That's
yeah. It. Yeah. From 6 years, 86 to 50 guaranteed.
Yeah.
The very next, that was the number one overall pick in Sam Bradford. The very next number one overall pick the following year after the CBA amendment, Cam Newton, 4 years, 22 million. Now, granted, that was fully guaranteed, but it's only 22 million. He got half the guaranteed money and had a double the career that Sam Bradford ever had.
Yeah,
if not more.
But at the time, like I said, it was getting out of control. So it's the same thing with the NBA now with this new apron. Like, there's always rules that you have to change and adapt as we move on, because teams find ways to work around it or whatever, or something comes up that you don't anticipate, which is quarterbacks making $55 million a year, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And that's just currently. Like, Dak's going to be up for a new contract. He wanted an extension. He's going to want to get – and everybody – I don't know what it is now. Not everybody's like this, but everybody's like, I should make more than that guy. Okay, 55 and a half. That's good. 56. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be more, but it's going to be more. It's going to be $56 million more. It's going to be $56 million a year instead of this. So it's just going to keep going up. So technically it's feasible, and they've done it before. So that kind of crosses that out. Let's see the next question. You kind of prematurely jumped into it, but not a big deal. It's a great reference. Is this actually being done anywhere else? And the answer is yes. In the NBA, it actually already exists. There's a really long quote, and it's well said. So I didn't really want to paraphrase it in any way. Again, by Joel Corey from CBS Sports. It's basically a combination of the bird rights, which is you can re-sign your own player and go over the cap, but it's subject to salary maximums. And this is Joel's quote from his piece. The ceiling on player salaries with veteran contracts depends on years of service. The first year of a contract for players who have no more than 6 years of service can't exceed 25% of the cap. For players with 7 to 9, the maximum is 30% of the cap. Players with 10 or more is restricted to 35% of the cap. There are limited instances in which players in the lower two service times categories can qualify for the 35% salary maximum because of performance under what is referred to as the Supermax contract that we all hear about.
Nice.
Something similar to what Jalen and Jason Tatum got, seeing as they have nowhere there. I think they're maybe on that 6-7 year fringe. Tatum probably a little bit, or Brown a little bit closer because he got drafted the year before. Yeah, Brown is a little closer, but this has already happened. 35%, though. Jeez, I thought the 25% from the NFL was crazy. But that's 53 people you have to fill out as opposed to
12, 15.
12.
Yeah, a little different, but still, like, it's a lot of money going to. I mean, it's a lot of money getting made by the league, so I guess it's got to trickle down to the players somehow. But
As it should.
Ooh, the dollar amounts are it's only going to get. I mean, how far are we away from an NBA player making $100 million in a season? Like, we're
not far. Not in my opinion. I don't think so because they already make a bunch of money. I mean, LeBron took a pay cut and is making almost $60 million a year.
Yeah.
I think it's like 53 or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, and they're just throwing cash. NBA, especially since it's worldwide. Now, the NFL is still the king of revenue, but the NBA is catching up because there's people all over the world that play this sport where really American football is kind of restricted to here in Canada, maybe a little bit at Mexico or something. You know what I mean? Most of it's football everywhere else.
Yeah, very true. And now with the new NBA contracts, it's only going to get bigger profit for them. So
yeah. So is it being done elsewhere? Yes, there is a precipice to this in sports now, not necessarily in football, but in sports in general. So we move on to the next question as we're gonna cover here. What could this look like in the NFL? Okay. So I want to kind of break it down a little bit. Let's give an example of what current NFL contracts are for the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Okay. We've got Burrow and Lawrence both making $55 million a year, as we reference. Again, this is average annual value. This isn't necessarily exactly what they're getting paid in 2024. This is of the big contract they sign, and you break it down, divided by the number of years. So that's it. Because obviously teams slot it differently based on, they backload a lot of contracts because they could try to rework it later, etc. So this is just average annual value. So Burrow and Lawrence at 55, Goff at 53, Herbert at 52.5. There's that half part. Jackson at 52. Jalen Hurts, 51. Kyler Murray, 46.1. Watson, 46. That one's fully guaranteed. That's the crazy part. But the Browns are so damn desperate, I think they'll do anything. Kirk Cousins at 45. Also kind of crazy, but Atlanta has a pretty good roster. They might as well get somebody who can throw the ball as long as his ACL is good. And then rounding out the top 10, would be Patrick Mahomes making $45 million.
That's not for him either.
No, yeah, he's worth more, but his point, kind of with a Brady rule again, kind of going back to, well, I'll take a little bit less if you could build a team around. And 3 Super Bowls later, he's looking great, and he's on the verge of a three-peat, something that's never been done before in NFL history. So, quick little snippet, and then I want your opinion on some of this, Corey, just to kind of give context to these. Of the way that these work, Kirk Cousins at the $45 million is at the bottom. Well, I guess he would be matching Mahomes. 17.62% of the cap, all the way up to 24.47% of the cap for the Burrow and Lawrence. So what they're looking for is maybe we could try to find an average there. The average of the top 10 right now is 21%. So there's a lot that's kind of going on, trying to figure out what that percentage would be, and taking an average of these currently are sitting at 21%. What are you thinking so far about these contract ranges? It's pretty crazy the amount of money these kids make.
Dude, so much money. Like, even if, But I get it because, like, as an NFL player, especially, like, I think the average career is like less than 4 years. So if you're going to be
Yeah.
in the league and you can get money, get as much as you possibly can before it's too late. So from a player's perspective, get all you can. But like from an owner's or GM perspective, and trying to build a team with a salary cap and everything else, like that's just such a hard game to play, especially when it comes to, as we talked about, the quarterback position is the most important position in all of sports, if not
Sports, in my opinion. Yeah.
yeah. Like without it, without a good one, or even at least a semi decent one, you're not
Serviceable,
anywhere.
right?
Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere in this league. So you got to do it. But also, like I said earlier, like, do you pay this guy just because, like, well, he's decent and we're kind of in the middle and we're good, but we're not bad enough to be in the top 5 pick and get another guy to like replace him? So like, we'll just pay this guy $2,000 million or whatever, $200 million and go from there. Like, I don't know, man. It's just
Because to your point, they don't have another choice. The great
yeah,
example that you brought up at the beginning was Trevor Lawrence. The
yeah,
Jaguars have been really terrible for a while. They had Blake Bortles, who was a little bit above average, and then sometimes a little bit below average. They've been bouncing around between a Nick Foles and a Gardner Minshew and whoever else they can kind of pick with. And Trevor Lawrence has basically been here, coming out of Clemson, was looking as damn near the savior, like another Peyton Manning kind of thing coming out of Tennessee. And
yeah.
in my opinion, hasn't necessarily lived up to that hype that he's had. But like you said, what else is Jacksonville going to do? There's no other quarterbacks. I mean, how many quarterbacks went? I think the first 5 picks of the draft this year were quarterbacks. So people need and want quarterbacks. And if you've got one that's at least serviceable, like you mentioned, you just have to do it. It's just one of those things you have to do.
Yeah.
And if they want the most, you're paying the most.
Dude, and it sucks that, like, as like from the payment part of it, like if you're the player and you're like, oh, that last guy got this much, so I want that much more. Like, bro, just because that guy got that doesn't mean you're as good as him. Like, Lawrence is not as good as Burrow. He doesn't have the resume as Burrow, so he shouldn't be making the same as Burrow. Like, what?
100%. No,
even
that's a great comparison too.
shouldn't be
Burrow and
making
them.
more than Goff either, because Goff's been to a Super Bowl with the Rams and been to an NFC title game with the freaking Lions of all teams. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah. I mean, Dan Campbell's biting kneecaps, and here's Jared Goff carrying them to the NFC Championship and almost won it. To be honest with you, the Niners just came back in the second half. So
Lamar Jackson's got 2 MVPs. He's making $3 million less than Lawrence. What are we doing? What are we talking about here? That makes sense.
And then you look all the way down. Yeah, the outliers in here, in my opinion, that top 10 are Lawrence, Murray, and Watson.
Yeah.
Even Cousins is borderline. Like, you've seen him do like really good stuff on really bad teams.
The Cousin one also, though, is a shorter term deal because they know he's older. It's not a 5-year deal. It's like a decent one, and they know in the back end the kid Penix they draft is going to take over, and he's not going to have to get paid very much.
Like, I forgot they drafted him with the freaking 8th pick, bro. So, what a crazy pick!
So Cousins,
I forgot
that contract anyway, so that's fine. But still, it is just. Yeah, the money for quarterbacks, man. I mean, I know it's not an easy job, but damn, it's crazy money.
Yeah. So getting back to what the owners are thinking, because the average top 10, and that's really how the franchise tag goes, is that takes an average of the top, I think it was 5 or 10 players currently at that position, and they take the average and that's what your salary would be according to the franchise tag. So I think the owners want to do something similar. They're not trying to create new rules. So with these top 10, the owners are looking at around that 21%, maybe rounding it up to the 22% and kind of capping it at that for quarterbacks. Now, this wouldn't impact any current contracts. They'd be grandfathered in, like Joe Burrow's at the 24 and Trevor Lawrence is at the 24, almost 25%. But any future contracts would basically be like that. And there's a lot of talk that Jerry's kind of pushing this because he's hoping to maybe try to get something done before he had to pay Dak.
Of course. There's always a backdoor for somebody.
Always. Yeah, there's always something, always an ulterior motive, right?
God, every time.
One of the benefits, though, I think would be it's less strict rules on increases, as like when the cap goes up, you go up. So if they say, hey, you know what, you're signing a 5-year, 22% of the cap contract, then as the cap goes up, you're getting raises. It doesn't even matter. You're getting the most you can get. If you're worth the most, you're getting the most. Your salary is going to go up based on the percentage that you've locked in, right?
Yeah.
There's also some talk according to Joel in the article, that there's going to be some room to negotiate. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be structure. How many years? How does the cash flow? Is it front loaded? Is it some of it guaranteed, etc.? Other incentives that you might be able to kind of build into it to kind of get some flexibility to get money elsewhere. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, signing bonuses and incentives, like you mentioned, certain, Pro Bowl if you get it nominated or make it, and all that kind of shit. So yeah,
Yeah, X amount of yards, you can
yeah,
get a little bit more bonuses that way, But keeping that cap, because that's the only thing that the NFL works on, keeping your cap hit low will be beneficial for the team.
yeah. Well, I mean, beneficial for you and the team because that means they can
True.
build around you and hopefully win some fucking games.
There's a reason why Tom Brady has 7.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Now, maybe 1 or 2 of them were on his rookie contract, but other than that, he was taking discounts.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way the Patriots would have, if he would have taken top dollar, there's no way they would have had all those. I mean, Gronk wouldn't have been there as long as he was. Like, none of those
Yep,
guys were.
all that stacked defense,
Yeah.
re-signing player after player.
Yeah. No. And Brady was aware of it and knew because he knew he wanted to win. So that's good.
Yeah. The only thing that really got him was wide receivers. They just like getting short little white guys to go run around and catch the ball from him.
And then the one time they bring in somebody like Randy Moss, he has like the best year ever. But don't bring anybody else in.
Don't bring him back. Right. Yeah. Gee. Now, granted, they blew it that year, unfortunately. But yeah, dude's setting records with an actual receiver. Now, Randy Moss is an all-time talent, but still.
Yeah, but still,
So is Tom.
They could have had some other better pieces than what they gave him. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The last piece that I think is also kind of cool for it is on the counterpart of, you get a bunch of money. You also have like that weird storyline. And I think less people are doing it now, but it's still prevalent, right? The diehard fans of the team, the people who literally bleed Chiefs red or whatever color they like, is that like, you don't technically have to take less like what Brady and Mahomes are doing in order to build out the team because it's already capped. So you're not feeling obligated like, damn, well, if I want to win, I guess I should take a little bit less, but I don't know how long I'm going to be able to play this game. And
Yeah.
I'm really good right now. Maybe I should get more. So it's a lot better in that sense that there's not a lot of pressure on that quarterback to like, well, are you going to take less? I mean, hometown discounts, you got the reporters here asking all this kind of stuff, the beat writers for the city. So it's kind of cool for them too to not have to worry about it. They're like, bro, I'm just taking what I'm allowed to get. I'm allowed to get 22%. I'm going to take all 22%. I feel like I'm worth that. And you don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah. And then it's up to the front office to figure out the rest of the math and build the rest of the roster. Because if that's what the owners and the players agree upon, then the owners and GMs are aware of it and need to make sure they plan accordingly to fill out the other 52 spots.
Exactly. So that's kind of like a rundown of how it all is. We want to round this off with, well, what do we think about it? Corey, I want to start with you. What do you kind of think about, 1, the owners bringing it up, 2, the idea of it in general, and 3, do you think it will happen? Answer those 3 for me.
Well, the owners it's weird because like the owners are the ones who like set the salary cap and all the rules, but then they like complain that they have to work around the rules. So it's always kind of funny to me. Like, you guys made these rules and agreed upon them, and now you're mad.
Good point.
Yeah, like you screwed it up.
That was huge in basketball this offseason.
Yes, yeah, massive. But okay, so I think 1, it's gonna happen. I don't know necessarily when or how soon, but it probably will happen quickly. If Jerry Jones is definitely behind it, he's got a lot of pulls, so that helps. I get it, and like I think you're right too. The future will be we agree upon a contract for 5 years of 20% or 21% of the cap instead of an actual number, and then they'll say like a certain amount is guaranteed, blah blah blah. But it'll climb each year, and even if you're not good necessarily, you're getting a raise every single year of the deal. So in the long run, you're still winning. So
yeah, because caps don't really go down. There was like a COVID year where they stayed stagnant, but they never go down. They only go up.
No, they
like real estate, damn near.
Exactly. It only goes up. Like even the NHL goes up, and this year it went up a lot. So like the NFL is going to jump. They're going to get more TV money. When we did an episode a while back talking about how they have all their TV contracts structured that they can opt out, and I think it was 2030, and they can redo a contract with every single broadcasting partner and just balloon up and take a boatload more money. So
cash in.
It's going to keep coming. So the more money the league makes, the more the players get, the more the rosters and salary caps and everything's going to go up, the more the quarterbacks are going to make. So in the long run, everyone wins. And I think you made a good point about how like the media could turn it against the player of not taking less to make the team.
Why, you don't care? Yeah. Like, what do you mean you don't care?
Like, no, they gave me a percentage of what I could take. I took it, and then it's up to them to figure it out and make the rest of the roster good. Like I can only, and like you said, they're only going to be here in the NFL for so long. Like 10-year careers are not the norm in the NFL. So you got to make your money while you get the opportunity before you get knocked the fuck out of the game.
So overall, you like it?
Yeah, I guess I get it. I'm not like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm just like, yeah, I get it. Like it is what it is. So I'll, like most rules, like I'm not the one playing it, so it doesn't really affect me personally. Yeah, so whatever you guys agree upon and do and make work, I'll figure out how to react when it happens in the moment. But for now, like, it is what it is. I get it. Like, otherwise, it's only going to keep getting worse. The numbers are just going to keep ballooning. And like we talked about the NBA having $100 million player per year. Like the NFL could have a quarterback at that, not too far off either. We're talking 55, almost 60 at this point. So
very true. Now it's mostly the quarterback position, but still, there's somebody's getting it,
dude.
Okay, well, me personally, I love it. To me, football is a team sport. And the way that it's currently structured, we kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning. There's basically only one or two ways to win a championship. Well, the third one I'll get to in a second, but there's basically one of two ways. The first one is have a good quarterback on a rookie contract and surround him by a shit ton of talent, a la CJ Stroud, a la Brock Purdy. Okay.
Wilson.
Okay, that's different. But yes, Russell Wilson is a good one. That's not a rookie. That's just because he made a bunch of money to get bought out. He doesn't really care what he plays for. But same principle. Yes, low money at the quarterback position. Or the second thing is having an established quarterback and getting lucky with rookie talent around him. Yeah. You know, not necessarily rookie as in first year, but rookie contract talent around him. A la Rashee Rice for and Xavier, crap, I forgot who they just drafted. I forgot his last name, but Xavier, it might be his last name, from Texas that the Chiefs just drafted, getting cheap talent around Patrick Mahomes to kind of help. Yes, thank you, Xavier Worth. Yeah. So that's those are the basic two ways. You have to pay somebody, so you're either going to have cheap help that's good or a cheap quarterback that's good. Or the third way is you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. Yeah, well, that's the third way.
That's the best way. If I had,
that's the best way. Ask the Chiefs. But
I have a choice.
But that's pretty much it.
Taking that one for sure.
Yeah. So to me, this makes sense because it just like it helps. Again, it helps take the pressure off the quarterback from having to take a team discount. It helps take the weird pressure off the team again with the rules they created, but it takes the pressure off the team of having to finagle in max paying any quarterback that you get just because you have to, and then figuring out the team afterwards. I just think it's kind of a win-win as long as the players are still getting money somewhere, whether that's the signing bonuses or other incentives. As long as they're still getting paid somewhere else, if they have to finagle their way around the cap, then so be it, I guess, you know?
Yeah, and they'll always be able to find a way to finagle around the cap and get extra money here and there or incentives. Like that's part of the game. But the overall part of this is, I think, good for the game in the long run. So do what you got to do, man. Make it work.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Honestly, I want to hear from you, though. Let us know down in the comments below what you think about this, if you're in favor of it, if you're opposed to it. Also, let us know why you think that way. We want to have a conversation with you. Drop it down in the comments below. Rich, I look forward to hearing from you since this is a topic that you brought up. I appreciate you watching. Thank you to everyone, as always, for seeing things from our view from the bench. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.
This was a Sycamore Fourth Studios production.